I truly do not understand how people are supposed to learn anything when it comes to punishment. When you give a person a little slap on the wrist, you let them go, you don't do anything. I just have a bad feeling with this story. Y'all remember the story on my channel? It's going crazy every time I talk about it. No, that is disgusting. Let me skip past that picture, right? This is the same person that I talked about recently who allegedly, I'm going to say alleged since this is still kind of an ongoing thing, I believe violated terms of her phone calls while she was in jail, reaching out to the victims, in this case being the kids or the people that were housing the children, trying to reach out to them, right? That could be a dangerous thing because you're still trying to manipulate these children who have suffered immensely, right? That could be a crazy, crazy thing. This same person was just given a hell of a lot of leniency, and I just don't believe that the system takes these type of things seriously. That's why the AFC is here, for us to give a voice for these babies, advocates for children. I want y'all to hear this story and hear me well. Let's get into the details. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. Let me say thank you to our friend Nancy over there in PayPal. If you're listening, thank you very much. So we are getting this story from cbsnews.com. So thank you for the article, but we also have another article, which I'm going to read from wxyz.com. Pretty cool little name. So thank you for the article. Let's get into these details because this is a little bit of an update. I just think that you cannot be lenient with people who do horrible things to children. They will never learn. A Pontiac, Michigan woman, an alleged mother, accused of abandoning her 3 children to live in squalor for about 5 years, to live in squalor in a nasty, filthy, stinky apartment. This woman got a bond and she was released on Thursday. This article was written on June the 6th. So she could very well be out on bond as we speak. I'm going to have to give you guys some of the details so y'all can remember. If you've never seen this story and y'all wonder why this is so bad, I'm going to have to show you why it's bad. Records from the Oakland County Jail show Kelly Bryant, Kelly Marie Bryant is her full name, 34 years old, was released just before 5 p.m. on June the 5th. Additional details on her release are currently unknown. So I did get a chance to listen to the judge when she was, not everybody gets a bond, but she actually they were speaking about a bond, and they were talking about terms of that bond if she did get one and did secure the bond. So she has a lot of conditions that are in that bond, just so y'all know. Kelly Marie Bryant faces 3 counts each of child abuse related to allegedly forcing her 3 children, a 15-year-old boy, a 13-year-old, and a 12-year-old girl. I want y'all to remember 5 years prior, that would make them 10 years old, 8 years old, and 7 years old. Ten years old, 8 years old, and 7 years old. And I want y'all to remember, who said that? This woman is going to try to get those kids back. She's already trying to contact them, in my opinion. What are children supposed to know how to do at under 10 years old, 10 years of age or younger? They don't know how to do anything for themselves. And I'm pretty sure, with this being their mother, I'm sure she hasn't taught them anything. She left them to live in unbearable, filthy, squalid conditions in an apartment. And I took out some of the pictures because I know they were quite disgusting. So y'all get the point. Make sure y'all make these stories go viral, please. She was also charged with welfare fraud. Can we get a hashtag babies for benefits? I need to pull it. Where are my hashtags at? I got a lot of hashtags. Do some of y'all remember what my hashtags are? Some of y'all remember? Hashtag babies for benefits. What does that mean? That means whores like this only have kids to collect benefits off the backs of those kids, and we call that hashtag babies for benefits. Whether that be Section 8 food stamps, child support, car vouchers, child support from a man, or attention, whatever it is, they are only having kids. They don't love them, don't want to see them grow up, don't want to see them become something great, and leave them to die, literally to die in conditions like this because she's selfish and cares about nothing else. That is how we qualify babies for benefits. Stupid just gonna be stupid, and this woman is quite stupid. She was also charged with welfare fraud relating to get money from the state as support payments, where she received allegedly about $30,000. Y'all hear me? 30 grand. 30,000. Bryant was initially given a $250 million bond, which was later reduced to $50,000 cash. To the judge, I'm already, again, this is why I had lots of concerns. How do you go from a $250 million bond, let alone a 200? I can see how you could maybe go from a $250,000 bond to 50K, but how do you go from millions to thousands? 50,000, 5,000, she's out. Pay a bail bondsman, you're out. Somebody please explain that to me. When you hear the details of this story and she abandoned these kids and left them to die for 5 years, and you thought it was bad enough, which I believe it was bad enough, to charge her to the tune of $250 million in bonds, which I think that actually made way more sense for putting not one, not two, but 3 kids' lives in danger and probably ruin them permanently to stunt their development and their growth, to $50,000 cash. I don't get it. If released, she is ordered to have no contact with her children. Here's the crazy part, and thank you, Kyria, for joining channel membership. I see you. Thank you very much. She was ordered to have no contact. Here's the thing. The person who has access to her children right now, watching them and caring for them, she actually reached out to them, from what I understand, from what I read previously, reached out to them and was actually trying to get in contact with the kids. So if she was going to do that in jail, what makes you think she's going to follow the rules when she gets out of jail? Huh? You don't follow the rules in jail. Why would you follow it out of jail? She was ordered to have no contact with her children or anyone under the age of 18 years old. She can also not contact those caring for her children and cannot return to the address of the alleged incident, which is the apartment that somebody else was paying for all of those years, or she in part was, whatever it was. I don't know if she was getting Section 8 and just paying the bare minimum. I don't really know how they were doing that. But eventually her just quit paying altogether was how she got caught up. Because somebody else, I think her father, was paying the rent. Oakland County deputies received a phone call on February 14th from a landlord at a residence on the 600 block of Lydia Lane in Pontiac after not hearing from the mother since December of 2024. The landlord said the rent had not been paid since October, and he was concerned something might have happened. When the deputies arrived at the home, they found it in a vile state. They found mold and human waste. I don't want you guys to think too hard about it. It's quite disgusting. And then the picture pops up. Garbage piled as high as 4 feet tall and an overflowing toilet. The children were reportedly covered in feces, and two girls had trouble walking outside of the house. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Butchert said that investigators believe that the children were abandoned between 2020 and 2021, which is almost about 5 years. According to the Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald, excuse me, Prosecutor Karen McDonald, Bryant lived with her four children at the home in 2019 and left with one of her children who was now living with their father. So she had four kids out of that nasty thing that she calls a vagina. That is gross. Officials say that Bryant has four children with two different fathers. Authorities said Bryant did not leave basic hygiene products like toilet paper, soap, or shampoo with her children. The kids were taken to the hospital for evaluation and are currently in the custody of a relative under direction of the state. And again, I believe she's already tried to contact that relative. Let me read for one more article, which is coming from WXYZ.com. She said, and I quote, this person said, and I quote, "I sacrificed my children." That is a direct quote detectives read in court Friday from 34-year-old Kelly Marie Bryant during her preliminary examination. Y'all catch that? That evidence and more resulted in the judge ultimately sending Bryant to trial on 3 counts of first-degree child abuse and 3 counts of welfare fraud. Bryant is the mother of the 3 children found abandoned, living in mold, feces, and squalor this past February. The most notable observation was what appeared to be feces covering their clothing and their hair, Detective John Brish said. On February 14th, Oakland County sheriffs were horrified to find 3 children, ages 12, 13, and 15, again, minus 5 years off of that, roughly about 10, 8, and 7 years old, living in squalor in an abandoned Pontiac home or an apartment for 4 to 5 years. I'd never smelt a home that smelled that bad without a decomposing body presence. On Friday, 3 months later, their mother was in court physically for the first time for her preliminary examination. Prosecutors brought forth the detectives who found the children and who interviewed Bryant by herself. Brish said he'll never forget meeting Bryant at the police station 1 hour after they found her kids hiding in a bathtub full of feces. Gross. Her appearance was most surprising. Her hair was done. She was wearing what appeared to be clean clothing, I think is what they meant, and she had long, fake nails. So she looked pretty done up. Detectives said Bryant was always living within walking distance of the children she abandoned. That's kind of new. I didn't realize she was that close. They said walking distance. She hadn't touched them or given them any hygiene products for years. She would have food dropped off to them about once a week, which was like, I think through DoorDash or something like that. She was having somebody just drop off random food. And I think the last time that she dropped off food, she literally dropped off a loaf of bread and nothing else. She knew that her actions were selfish, that's her wording, and that it made her children sick, and that she had ultimately sacrificed her children for her own purposes. According to detectives, Bryant's children were found in soiled clothing, hunched over with toenails several inches long. The 2 youngest girls started their cycles in the home and were only given pads 1 time. And I've raised daughters. My oldest daughter is almost grown. You said that is new information. Yeah, because I never heard that either. My oldest daughter is almost grown, and my littlest adopted baby is 7 years old. So I've been raising girls for a while. Bryant admitted to telling children to never leave or open the front door, purposefully instilling a deep fear in them. They feared going outside. Again, this is why I'm talking about she shouldn't have any contact with these kids at all, because they fear this woman. In those interviews, the court heard from all three victims of their irrational fear of strangers, alleged pedophiles, and being blackmailed, said Kanika Ferenczi, assistant prosecutor for the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. Further evidence brought forth revealed that Bryant, the mother, would communicate mostly through the oldest boy through sporadic text messages. He had his mother listed in his phone as the world's greatest mom. Lord have mercy. You know, y'all ever wonder why I use the cuss words that I do? These people are delusional. They're past delusional. I don't know what word is worse than delusional. It's like they're not on this earth. They're not on this planet. They're not human. She probably put that in her phone, put that in his phone, programmed it as world's greatest mom. So if the bar is that high, if you don't strive to do at least bare minimum of what she did, all these kids would just flat out be dead. Everybody's kids would be dead if she is the bar for being a great mom. Everybody's kids would be dead. If this is the bar and it's set right here, you can't go any higher than this. She had her children listed as my oldest, kid number 1, and then kid number 2. My oldest, who was that? I guess number 0. Did y'all catch that? Then kid number 1 and kid number 2. I think this woman is fucking stupid. Let alone the fact that she's got a 4th kid. I would speak on the severity of the situation and my concerns for the children and their path to recovery and moving forward. And typically, her response would be, is there anything that I can do to help myself? Selfish. Like I said, selfish. That proves it. Detectives said that Bryant told them she lied to all of her family to keep her children hidden, because they would have helped. They would have got these kids out of this situation. She didn't want help. She just wanted money and wanted them kids to die. That's all she wanted. She took the batteries out of the smoke detector in the home so there was no risk of fire or any police officers ever coming by from the alarm being tripped, right? Because obviously they would have found out. The defense argues that the children were discovered in their care house interviews. The children did not seem to be suffering from severe mental harm, which I don't see how they weren't. Those children were articulate. They were answering questions. They were asking for clarification, said Cecilia Bronso, Bryant's defense attorney. Ultimately, the judge did not agree. She sent Bryant to stand trial. There is no question that this is an extraordinary case, said Judge Cynthia Thomas Walker. One piece of critical evidence we did not see Friday was the children's interviews with Care House. The judge said the interviews were overwhelming in terms of showing the mental and physical harm inflicted on the children. That's the only thing that would make sense if they didn't have any contact with the outside world for 5 years. That's going to create irreparable harm to any human being. Let me give you guys a fair usage. I've done a good job of just not cussing and fussing and losing my mind with this story, okay? Let's go.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107.
If you guys would do me a favor, if you're listening to the sound of my voice while I'm making some adjustments here so I can get this video back up on the screen, y'all do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up. Share this and please make this story go viral. We want this story to get 5 million views. The only way we could do that is with everybody helping out. 5 million views, we can get there. All right? Let me get this off the screen. That's the wrong thing. There we go. I'm going to play some of this. Here we go. Let's get it.
All right, back on the record with the Kelly Bryant matter. For the record, Ms. Carragano, you've had an opportunity to go into a private confidential breakout room to confer with your client regarding the charges in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And are you waiving the reading of the general information and complaint this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, waive reading, stand mute, ask the judge not guilty plea on her behalf. I did advise her of the nature of the offenses, the maximum possible penalties, as well as gave her basic constitutional rights.
All right, this matter is hereby assigned to Honorable Judge Cynthia Walker. She will be back before her on for a probable cause conference March 4th, 2025, for a probable cause conference with an exam date set for March 11th, 2025. Ms. Bryant, that exam date is a tentative date depending upon everyone's schedule, but by the court rule we have to set a date to keep it going. That will be at 9 o'clock. The PCC, the probable cause conference, is at 1:30. Of course, if you're unable to retain an attorney, and a court-appointed attorney will be provided for you to help you navigate and to communicate before Judge Walker on your next court date in this matter. Pretrial services relative to bond, but for the record, Ms. Carragano, are you in receipt of the pretrial services report bail recommendation in this matter?
Your Honor, and I did discuss it with my client.
Okay, all right.
I am, yes.
Okay, and have you read and reviewed that?
I did do that in the breakout room, Your Honor. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback, I think, from the jail screen. I think that's our problem right now.
Our problem is from the jail screen.
And I talked to her.
Okay, all right. So they're recommending release with conditions in this matter. So we're going to go from there. We have the PCC date. I'm going to have you speak to bond, and then I'll make my decision as to bond. And I'll also have the prosecution speak to bond. Ms. Carragano, you asking the court to accept the recommendation as provided by pretrial services?
I am, Your Honor. MCR 6.106, if you go through those conditions, provide that a personal recognizance bond with any conditions should be provided unless Ms. Bryant fell under some of the very specified exceptions to a personal bond that are listed. The court can also provide a cash bond if the court finds that Ms. Bryant is either a risk to the community or a flight risk. This particular case is serious, and we're not denying that it's a very serious case. However, I don't believe that the facts and circumstances of the case give any indication that Ms. Bryant is a risk to the community at large. In addition to that, there is no indication that Ms. Bryant is a flight risk. She's a lifelong resident of the county. She was residing within the city limits of this community. She, was employed, and she has ties to the community. In speaking to her, she also is asking that the court consider a tether, which could be part of a bond if the people had any concerns that she posed a flight risk. I do think, the recommendation from pretrial services is in line with the Michigan court rules, understanding that it is a very serious offense. But the court rules are what they are, and they do provide that Ms. Bryant should be released on a personal bond with conditions, so that's what I'm asking the court to do.
Ms. Green, would you like to address the court regarding bond in this matter?
Thank you, Your Honor. I did have the opportunity to look at the pretrial services report. I know, Your Honor, just where to facts yesterday.
Hopefully you guys can hear that okay. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to just let this play out a little bit. I think she could pay $50,000 cash bond. She definitely not get a public defender. Yeah, I feel you on that. But I'm going to let this play out. Hopefully y'all can hear it because I actually tried to fix the audio here. So here we go. Said, thank you for the membership gift. So what did we learn? Yeah, shout out to you. I think that was either Sarah that gifted that or that was, let me see, Sarah or Juju. It was either Juju Positive or Sarah Gates.
That those are fresh in your
One
memory,
moment,
so
please.
I
I'm
think
going to mute the jail. I'm going to mute the jail camera. And go ahead, Ms. Green.
Thank you. I did have the opportunity to review the pretrial services report. I know that Your Honor just listened to the swear to facts yesterday, and I'm sure that those are fresh in your memory. I am requesting in this case, I do agree with Ms. Kirandango regarding MCR 6.106 to the extent that you may not deny bond, but this court has the authority to put in place a high cash bond with conditions. And I believe that it appears that Ms. Bryant is not employed and that her resident status may be transient. So I consider her, and I think that the facts of this case portray her as a potential flight risk, and that there are 3 victims in this case that she should absolutely be prohibited from having contact with. So I'd ask that the court add a specific no contact provision as it relates to the 3 minor victims in this case. And if the court would like me to go on, I can.
No. What I found very suspicious in the report for pretrial services, there's 2 different addresses given to her. So I agree with you, Ms. Green, that one could opine that she's transient. She's from here, she's from there. We don't know where she resides. I do find her an acute risk and danger to the community and to any minor children under the age of 18, let alone the 3 minor children that she is a mother to. With that in mind, I agree with Ms. Kirandango. I cannot deny her bond. That is, of course, my first knee-jerk reaction was to deny her bond.
A knee-jerk reaction. Your first reaction was to deny her bond. Yeah, like, you hear what she did to these humans? God, like, just... I don't know how they rationalize this. I don't know how these judges, these people, these decision makers rationalize this. Hell no, she shouldn't have a bond. She tried to kill 3 people. And it just so happens that they survived on their own.
However, because I find her acute danger, I find her a continued danger to the children. My main concern is, I don't know who, if anyone, that the children have been given to. If it is a family member, I'm concerned that she still may have contact with the family member from the jail with instructions to continue to engage in fear tactics to forbid the children from cooperating with authorities in their continued investigation in this manner. For that reason alone, I'm giving her a $250 million bond in this matter, cash only. The other aspects, should she post said bond, she is not to have any contact with these children by family members, third-party agents, or friends. So, Ms. Bryant, I want you to understand, any phone calls from the jail, should you're unable to post this bond, is recorded. Should the court find out that you are sending messages to engage in further fear tactics and intimidation of the children, your phone privileges will be removed. You're not to have, in fact, any contact should you post this bond with any children under the age of 18. In this matter, if you post this bond, you should be supervised by pretrial services, no alcohol or drugs, no weapons or firearms, and a GPS tether with a verified address, because I'm concerned pretrial services has indicated 2 different reported addresses for you. I don't believe anyone knows where you have been staying, madam. There's no consistent history. Anything further regarding the bond, Ms. Kirandango, Ms. Green?
Just ever so briefly, they had no issues finding my client. to arrest her. So I just want the record to be clear on that.
Ms. Green?
Your Honor, you have before you information that the defendant has been lying about her whereabouts, the whereabouts regarding what she was telling where the children were. So you have a lot on this record in terms of inconsistencies with her location and the information that she's given to put in place this high cash bond.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your cooperation in this matter. Ms. Bryant, you are thanked and excused from the camera. Ms. Caragongo, Ms. Green, thank you so much. Pretrial service, thank you so much. Ma'am, can you get up and let the deputies know we're ready for the next defendant? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you guys want to come and get your microphones, you're welcome to do so before the next prisoner arrives. All right, back on the record with the Kelly Bryant matter. For the record, Ms. Caragongo, you've
Your Honor, and I did
find out that you.
Well, now to a major update. The mom accused of abandoning her 3 children in a home of squalor, facing a judge today.
And who could forget the horrific conditions those children were living in when Oakland County deputies discovered them during a welfare check. That was back in February. Hazmat crews called to clean out the place. Investigators say the children slept alone there for several years, afraid to venture out.
Well, today a judge ruled that there is enough evidence against their mother, Kelly Bryant, and ordered her to stand trial.
That decision coming after new details were revealed in court, with detectives saying Bryant confessed when she said, quote, "I sacrificed my children." 7 News Detroit reporter Sarah Michaels in court as some of Bryant's secrets were being revealed.
Observation was what appeared to be feces covering their clothing and their hair.
February 14th, Oakland County Sheriff's detectives were horrified to find 3 children, ages 12, 13, and 15, living in mold, feces, and squalor, abandoned in this Pontiac home for 4 to 5 years.
I've never smelt a home that smelled that bad without a decomposing body present.
Friday, 3 months later, their mother, 34-year-old Kelly Bryant, was in court physically for the first time for her preliminary examination. Prosecutors brought forth the detectives who found her children and who interviewed Bryant herself. Detective Brish saying he'll never forget meeting Bryant at the police station 1 hour after they found her kids hiding in a bathtub full of feces.
Her hair was done. She was wearing what appeared to be new clothes that were clean. She had long, fake nails.
Detectives say that Bryant was always living within walking distance of the children she abandoned. She hadn't touched them or given them hygiene products for years. She would have food dropped off to them about once a week, and she confessed to detectives.
She knew that her actions were selfish. That was her wording, and that it made her children sick. And that she ultimately sacrificed her children for her own purposes.
According to detectives, Bryant's children were found in soiled clothes, hunched over with toenails several inches long. Bryant admitted to telling the children to never leave or open the door, purposely instilling a deep fear within them.
In those interviews, the court heard from all 3 victims about their irrational fear of strangers, pedophiles, and being blackmailed.
Further evidence brought forth revealed that Bryant would communicate mostly with the oldest boy through sporadic text messages. He had his mother listed in his phone as world's greatest mom. She had her children listed as my oldest, kid 1 and kid 2.
I would speak on the severity of the situation and my concerns for the children on their path to recovery and moving forward. And typically her response would be, is there anything I can do to help myself?
Detectives said that Bryant told them she lied to all of her family to keep her children hidden. She took the batteries out of the smoke detector in the home, so there was no risk of the fire department or police officers ever coming by. The defense argues that after the children were discovered in their care house interviews, the children did not seem to be suffering from severe mental harm.
Those children were articulate. They were answering questions.
Ultimately, the judge did not agree. She sent Bryant to stand trial on 3 counts of first-degree child abuse and 3 counts of welfare fraud.
There's no question that this is an extraordinary case.
In Pontiac, Sarah Michaels, 7 News Detroit.
A Pontiac mom accused of neglect now out of jail.
She allegedly left her 3 children alone in a house of filth for years. Fox 2's Robin Murdoch is live with the details this morning. Robin.
Good morning, Jay and Erica. This is a story that we have obviously been tracking for several months here at Fox 2, and this is a very significant development. As you just mentioned, that mother of 3, that Pontiac mother of 3, who's accused of abandoning her kids while they lived in filth and feces, she is now out of jail. 34-year-old Kelly Bryant posted her $50,000 bond just a couple of hours ago, so she is out of jail for the first time since February. And it was actually a welfare check back in February that brought this all to light. That is when Bryant's 3 kids, who were ages 15, 13, and 12, were all found alone in a Pontiac home. It is believed that they had been living alone for at least 4 years. Now, we are told that that house was covered in trash and human waste, and that the kids actually slept on pizza boxes. Now, Bryant's children have been staying with a family member ever since. Back in March, though, you might recall, communication privileges for Bryant were revoked after she reached out to her kid's caretaker. Again, the latest development in this is that Kelly Bryant has posted bond, and as long as she does not violate the conditions of her bond, she can remain out of jail. Her next court date is scheduled for later this month. Of course, we will keep an eye on this for you.
If you ask me, it just seems like they're trying to set this up to give her softball treatment. Said the bond was too low. Yeah, how do you go from $250 million to $50,000? That makes no sense at all. But it sounds like they're setting this up to feel sorry for her and get her off easy. And getting her off is not what she needs to be doing at all, because every time she gets off, she seems to be creating more children. This is why we have a hashtag TTO and TTT. Women like this need to be sterilized. They should not have reproductive organs. They shouldn't have ovaries. They should confiscate her ovaries so she can't produce no more kids. Because this is what she's going to continue to do. She's not going to learn nothing from this. And with her being this age, all she's going to do when she gets out, if she does 6 to 9 months in prison, 9 months in babies, whatever time she does in prison is not going to be enough. And I think that by the time she gets out, she's probably going to be still childbearing age. So she's not going to learn anything at all. She's going to continue to keep doing this. She's not a good person. She's not a good human. She's not a good mother. She's not a good mate. And I wish that men would see this story, share this, make it go viral, and never even have sex with somebody that's damn crazy, nasty, and stupid. You're just asking for trouble. You cannot be that desperate for sex to mess with somebody like this. Y'all keep those children in your prayers. I don't know what else to say about this. It's flat out disgusting. Hold on. It was one more thing I wanted to show you that I did highlight. Let me get back to it. Where is it at? I had something highlighted here. No, we've already talked about that. Y'all can watch that in another video. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me go through my pictures just to make sure. I think we got everything. So if anything else, we'll do an update probably by the time that this case closes out, because every update that comes out just seems to get more and more nonsensical. Okay? Thank you.